You'll have to excuse my voice for this video. We have all been sick, and it feels like we're starting to finally turn the corner. I'm the last one that needs to turn the corner, so apologies for my voice, but I wanted to get this done still. So, like I said at the very beginning of this video, I've been taking postpartum nutrition very seriously this time, as much as I can. I'm not putting a ton of weight on myself to be perfect or anything like that, but just paying a lot more attention to what I'm consuming. And I got some bulk herbs from Mountain Rose Herbs, and I wanted to take you along as I get them put away and make some Nora tea, it's called. So it's nettle, oat straw, raspberry leaf, alfalfa leaf, and then rose hips was also in there in the recipe that I found. So join me for today's video. So I've never made my own tea. I've never bought bulk herbs or anything like this. And also, sorry if you see a flashing light. My son was playing with a flashlight during this video. So that is all that is. But I had heard of Mountain Rose Herbs, and I got the larger size. Actually, I think they had 3 options. I got the medium one, because the smallest option was just not going to last me very long. But now that I've done a little more research after putting these all together, I had read that you can steep the same leaves a couple of times, so I've been doing that. So all of these are going to last me a super long time, which is totally fine because it makes the cost of it actually seem really, really cheap when you buy in bulk and then for how long it will last. So I'll have their site linked below. Like I said, I don't really know a ton about them. I just had read about them somewhere and wanted to give them a try. So I started with making a batch of the tea. The recipe that I found was just a 1-to-1 ratio for all of them, so a cup of each type of herb. And I put that in a jar, and then I realized, wow, I have a lot left. So I decided to make another double batch and put that in jars as well. And then after that, I put the herbs in jars for storage, which we will get to that point. But this tea, I'm sure everybody's heard of it. Raspberry leaf, you can buy like the red raspberry leaf at the store just by itself. That's really good for pregnancy. This you can do pregnancy, postpartum, anytime. It's just really good for women's health. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, so just that little disclaimer, like, you do your own research, you consume what you are comfortable consuming. But I found this process to be really, really fun. And then just knowing that it has a ton of minerals and nutrients for my body that benefit me in this season of life was just icing on the cake. So I had a gift card for Target and I got some more jars. I didn't want to buy this many, but at Target you can really only buy them in bulk, and that's where I had the gift card for. So I figured, you know what, we will use them over time. It's just the storage part that's a little trickier, but we'll definitely use them over time. There's a lot of things that I can use jars for. And normally I would thrift my jars. Like if you guys have seen some of my thrift hauls, some of the drinking glasses that I've thrifted have been mason jars. And I really like that too, but you do have to be patient with that, and I just wasn't in the position to be patient because I wanted to get going on this so that I have it in my kind of nutritional regimen, if you will. And yeah, so I got the bigger ones to store the herbs, and then the quart jars are for actually making the tea. It is super easy. You literally just boil 4 cups of water. And actually, now that I've done this a few times, I don't even measure. I just fill the pot and boil it. But 4 cups of water, and then you do a 1/4 cup of the mixture of all the different herbs that we already mixed together. You pour the boiling water over the herbs, and then you just steep it. So you cover it, steep it for, you can do overnight or 24 hours, kind of whatever works for you and your schedule. And then, like I said, I've been actually steeping mine twice. I don't know. I read that people do that, so I'm doing it. But I don't know if it's technically correct or recommended, but I figured, why not? And it will seriously make all of this last for a very, very long time. So other things that I'm prioritizing in this postpartum season would be plenty of protein. I'm doing whole grains, freshly milled flour, lots of an emphasis on minerals, which is why I want the tea as well. Just really trying to keep my body out of fight or flight. I have a history of just issues with that. I pretty much lived my life in fight or flight. I've talked about that in many of my other videos and how I have been trying to recover from that, and it's taken a long time, but it also just takes a toll on your body when you're having babies, you know, while you're trying to heal from that as well. So the biggest thing is just making sure that I'm eating enough, getting enough minerals, staying calm, breathing deeply. And beyond that, just a lot of trusting God, because there's only so much that we can do. We don't have that much control. And yeah, I think it's just, you know, there's a fine line between like, okay, I'm going to do all this stuff, but then also you just kind of have to let go as well. So those are the things that I'm focusing on. But like I said, giving myself lots of grace. It's hard. There's days, you know, in other videos where I've said I don't even make it to getting dressed because I want to nourish myself, and then I have to nurse the baby. I have an older child. We have 2 dogs, and it just is what it is. So I'm just taking each day as it comes and trying to nourish myself the best that I can without stressing too much about it. But I love how these turned out. I think they look really pretty. I did an outline on our label maker, and I don't know, there's just something about glass jars labeled that is so satisfying to me. And as I will talk about in a minute here, I wanted some way to display them in my kitchen that is actually a very modern kitchen, which is totally fine, but I will chat about that in just a second.
This is definitely a first world problem, and I'm not complaining at all because my kitchen is so beautiful. But it was done when we bought the house, so the previous owner did the kitchen, and we love it. It's beautiful, like everything about it is beautiful. But as I'm making this homemade tea and like kind of pursuing this more homesteadish-y lifestyle, I'm like, this kitchen is totally designed for modernity. Like, it's just totally a modern kitchen. I can see how open shelving would be useful. All of those that I did for the herbs, they would be so pretty displayed. So anyway, first world problem, but I can see how it would be more practical, especially even for storage, because when I'm thinking of putting those away, like just the way that this is set up, it almost doesn't even make sense. But then also, I couldn't fit all the herbs in the jars, so I have some still left in the bags. I made another double batch of the Nora tea, and I'll put that in another jar, probably two jars actually, because the first batch took up the whole jar. So I'll have 3 jars of the tea. That'll last me a good long while, but then I still have herbs in the bags, which is silly to me to store both of those. So it'd be cool if I could display the jars that I made and then put the bags away, kind of like a bulk storage thing, but I don't really have that set up, so it just seems silly to me. And I used all the rose hips because that was a smaller, they were just smaller. So I got rid of that jar, so we don't have to store that one. But my kitchen smells very fresh and earthy, and it's been fun to do this, but first world problems.
Here are the completed jars, and now my brain is going crazy with ideas on how to make my kitchen, while it's still a modern kitchen, function a little bit more not like a modern kitchen. So stay tuned, because I might be thinking about how to make that happen, and if I do, I will definitely make a video all about it, but we'll see. My bandwidth isn't quite that big yet, so it might be like a spring or a summer project, but my brain is definitely thinking about it.
Okay, we did a little reorganization. Put some of those up there. Put a bunch of these, the rest of them in there. There's some back there. And then I put the ones that I did in the jars here. The Nora tea, all 3 are back there. They don't quite close all the way, so I don't know. I might get annoyed with this after a while. Do you want to close them? But for now, that'll work, and it looks pretty.